Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Aliens Invaded. I, Chef Become the Strongest Human. Chapter 71. The fire frog tribe that appeared one after another was indeed beyond Shui Ruyan's expectation. However, it is also reasonable. After all, the place where the fire frogs live is at the bottom of the scalding pool. This alien race is an amphibian, and most of their gathering places are in pools. Although their status is relatively low, the fire frogs also have their advantages. It is very fast in the water, has excellent jumping ability on land, and has strong pursuit ability. On the battlefield of the small world of Wotang, the fire frog tribe has always served as the enemy's scouts. If there was a gathering place of the fire frog tribe in the pool next to it, then the situation would be much worse. Once caught, they would be dragged to death by the fire frogs who appeared one after another. This is also why many people are needed to move freely, if Zhongtian and Shui Ruyan are not two people, but multiple people. They were able to kill the fire frogs as quickly as possible and escape far away. In the monitoring room, many members of the examination team looked troubled. Send emergency rescue. At this time, a member of the examination team spoke. They have seen Shui Ruyan's strength, and the opponent's potential is enough for them to carry out emergency rescue. This restructuring of the martial arts college entrance examination is a practical one, but it does not mean that there are no safety measures at all. Could it be that when a talented student encounters danger, is it really in vain to watch him die? Within the scope of the examination, there are hidden action teams in every area. Once the examination team issues an order, rescue will be launched immediately. Of course, after being rescued, the final assessment of the test scores will be based on 80%. Naturally, students don't know about this safety mechanism. To hide it from them is to put them at a moment on the verge of life and death and let them feel the danger of the battlefield. Hearing the proposal from a member of the examination team, Shui Xiao sighed and prepared to agree. Although she was happy with her niece's progress, she had to say that her decision was still a bit reckless. I don't agree. At this moment, Hulong Wei, holding a cigar in his mouth, suddenly shouted. Others looked over one after another, and Shui Xiao also frowned. Before she could speak, Hulong Wei took the lead. Look more carefully. You are also people who have been on the battlefield. Don't you have this kind of observation ability? An old classmate, although I understand your feelings, you are confused and your judgment has declined. Hulong Hui's words made everyone look confused and looked at the screen again. Wait a minute, something doesn't seem right. How could this happen? Shui Xiao also stared at the content on the projection screen, her pupils also slightly contracted. Although the dozen or so fire frogs that jumped out from behind showed a surrounding posture, only 2 of them joined the battle and took action against Shui Ruyan. The rest of the fire frog clan were holding long forks and opening their mouths as if they were screaming, jumping left and right, but they never came forward. If you observe carefully, you can find that all the attention of these fire frogs are focused on Zhongtian, who is motionless next to them. Shui Ruyan, who was fighting with a spear, was unhurried and seemed not worried about the worsening situation. To them, Shui Ruyan's fighting behavior was more like honing his marksmanship and honing his combat experience. This group of fire frogs are afraid of Zhongtian and don't dare to act rashly. Shui Xiao took a deep breath, turned to look at Hulong Wei, and narrowed her eyes slightly. Why are you looking at me like that? Hulong Wei grinned, smoke coming from his mouth. Shui Xiao's brows trembled. This kid has hidden his strength. He is definitely not simple. That's why I said he was ordinary. When I said those words, you had such a weird expression. In your mind, are you laughing at me? Hulong Wei immediately shook his head and denied the other party's idea. Don't accuse a good person unjustly. Maybe he is really just ordinary. Shui Xiao squinted at Hulong Wei for a moment, then continued to look at the content on the projection screen. Others screamed in surprise because Shui Ruyan killed 2 more fire frogs. Continuing the high-intensity battle, Shui Ruyan not only did not show signs of fatigue, but became more courageous as he fought. The spear in her hand is like a dragon, and combined with her profession as a chi refiner, she is capable of both offense and defense, and her methods are even more bizarre and unpredictable. This scene was so urgent that the surrounding fire frog clan kept barking and chatting with each other. Occasionally, 1 or 2 fire frogs would join the battle again, but the vast majority of the fire frogs did not dare to act rashly and stared at the human boy standing not far away. Instinct tells them that the boy standing next to them is very dangerous. So I didn't dare to take action rashly, I just waited patiently. Puff puff. At this time, there was another series of water-breaking sounds, and a large number of fire frogs jumped out one after another. Although judging from the aura, these fire frogs are also at the first level, but they are wearing armor, and the long forks in their hands are obviously more sophisticated. In the monitoring room, many people had expressions of astonishment on their faces. These can be said to be the regular armies of the Fire Frog clan, and their overall strength is much stronger than the ordinary Fire Frog clan. And with this amount, something will happen. Emergency rescue. At this time, Shui Xiao suddenly said, "This situation is no longer something that two students can resist. No, let's do it." At this time, someone suddenly exclaimed. On the projection screen, the Fire Frog clan, which had been ready to make a move, finally took action. One by one, the fire frogs screamed strangely and rushed towards Zhang Tian, and there were even armor-piercing fire frogs who took the lead in the charge. The larger and fatter armored fire frog jumped up, waved the heavy long fork in his hand, and smashed Zhang Tiandang on the head. At this moment, Zhang Tian moved. Zhang Tian did not retreat at all, but immediately took action and grabbed the long handle of the long fork. The armored fire frog tribe obviously didn't expect that not only did their attack miss the human boy, but the opponent grabbed their weapon. But then, it was horrified to find a terrifying pulling force coming from the other end of the long fork in its hand. He was actually dragged over by the human boy. Qua! Before the armored fire frog had time to react, he saw a hand approaching and grabbing his fat chin. After Zhang Tian grabbed the armored fire frog, he suddenly raised it high and then slammed it to the ground. Boom! Terrifying power erupted from Zhang Tian, directly throwing the armored fire frog tribe into the ground. Then he stood up and swung the long fork he had snatched at the fire frog clan, directly blowing the opponent's head off. Only then did Zhang Tian stand up, weigh the long fork in his hand, and strike it at a fire frog tribe that was following him. Boom! Just like beating a drum, it made a loud percussion sound, and the fire frog tribe that approached had its head exploded. Boom! Zhang Tian's speed suddenly exploded at this moment, and he dragged out the afterimage with a long fork in his hand. Aiming at the fire frog tribe's head, he gave it a sharp knock, and a thumping sound was immediately heard from the edge of the hot pool water. One after another, the fire frogs fell down quickly, and the scalding water next to them was dyed bright red and bubbled. From a distance, it looks like the bottom of a hot red oil hot pot. Quick! Allow! Ruthless! As soon as Zhang Tian started taking action, he had already demonstrated his terrifying strength. The first-level fire frog tribe in front of him was a fat jumping frog, jumping up and offering its head. Zhang Tian cleared the field simply and rudely, leaving only the few fire frogs left fighting with Shui Ruyan. Boom! Zhang Tian casually swung the heavy long fork covered with blood on the ground. After checking that there was nothing wrong with Shui Ruyan, he calmly began to collect the dead fire frogs. After piling up the dead fire frogs, Zhang Tian took out the black dragon kitchen knife and carried a fire frog to the side of the boiling water. After washing my hands, I took a kitchen knife and cut it. With a slight force, I tore off the frog skin and cleaned the internal organs of the minced meat. The black dragon kitchen knife was in his hand, extremely sharp, and he quickly cleaned up a fire frog clan member. Zhang Tian lifted up the cleaned fire frogs, looked at them carefully, and couldn't help swallowing. The white and red flesh looks crystal clear, and the fire frogs themselves are chubby. It's so good, better than pictures and videos. Zhang Tian couldn't help but cheer loudly. The fire frogs are just the lower race among the three races in Wotang's small world. They are also the coolies and cannon fodder enemies that the human race faces and are not worth mentioning. Even if he is only at level 1, his meat quality is already so high. Excellent ingredients. The frogs I purchased in preparation for the exam are high-end ingredients that are carefully bred by the human race and are rich in nutrients. But compared to the fire frog tribe in front of me, they are nothing. What you have in hand is called high-end food. Putting the processed fire frogs into the space ring, Zhang Tian took the time to clean up the other fire frogs. He couldn't wait to cook the fire frogs and taste them. On the other side, Shui Ruyan came to Zhang Tian's side carrying the Fire Frog clan she had killed. She also washed the bloodstains with cool water and helped Zhang Tian deal with the Fire Frog clan. With their current strength and physical strength, although the water in this pool is boiling hot, it will not cause any harm. Shui Ruyan was not too dirty, and her processing speed was not slower than Zhang Tian. In a short time, these fire frogs were almost dealt with. And the two of them had been waiting by the pond for so long, but no Fire Frog clan appeared again. Obviously, there are no reinforcements from the Fire Frog clan in this pool of water. In other words, there was originally a Fire Frog clan dormant under the water, but they were afraid that the two of them would not show up. Let's go find a place to cook. After taking care of the last Fire Frog tribe, Zhang Tian excitedly motioned to Shui Ruyan. Shui Ruyan nodded, followed Zhang Tian with her spear and left here, preparing to change places. At the same time, she also took out her tactical mobile phone and uploaded information about the enemy attack in this place. Providing intelligence, exploring routes, etc. can also earn military merits. Because she and Zhang Tian formed a team and chose to move freely and upload information, both of them could get rewards for their combat achievements. The two figures disappeared at the edge of the scalding water, leaving only bloodstains on the ground, describing the tragic situation here. Gulu Gulu. After a long time, the heads of the Fire Frog clan began to appear secretly. They secretly left the pool and came to the shore, carefully observing their surroundings. Finally, they walked to the shore and looked at the mess left by Zhang Tian's handling of the ingredients, as well as the blood stains. Everyone started barking and seemed to be talking about something. Finally, the obviously older member of the group of fire frogs stretched out his hand to gesture and waved, causing the fire frogs to disperse. Each fire frog tribe jumped away very quickly. Only the older fire frog tribe was left, staring at the ground not far away. Over there, Zhang Tian's discarded long fork was stuck there. There was blood on it. At the same time, monitoring room. Deathly silence. The only thing that could be heard was the slightly rapid breathing of everyone and the sizzling sound of the cigar in Huang Hui's mouth. Is this a genius that can come out of southern province? The middle-aged man couldn't help roaring, his whole body trembling with excitement. It's too powerful, have you seen it? Someone was equally excited and shouted, if a top genius grows up in the future, he will definitely become a human war emperor. The method is too neat, and the control of the battle situation is really exquisite. There is something important about taking action first. That's right, every time the fire frogs he attacks dies, there will be holes in the opponent's formation. His profession should be that of a warrior, and his awakening talent is certainly not weak. The Fire Frog clan's armored warrior was directly shot in the head. It should be a talent that increases strength. As expected of the student that deputy team leader Huang has chosen, he should be the winner of the provincial championship. What a pity. If he had brought more people with him instead of just 2 people, it would be possible for him to be number 1 in the country. Hey, let's not exaggerate too much. I heard that there are some monster geniuses in this class, but judging from the performance just now, the top 10 in the country should not have much of a problem. Everyone in the monitoring room commented on Zhang Tian's performance, and they were all filled with praise. For them, the emergence of every genius is great news for the human race. Although the current situation of the human race is very dangerous and not very good, it can still be managed. Even among their human race, countless people always stood up, and these human race elites withstood the pressure. And just relying on them is not enough. We also need a constant supply of fresh blood to improve the situation of the human race and get better and better. But, during the heated discussion among the members of the examination group, they discovered that the expression on the group leader Shui Xiao's face seemed a bit unsightly. Why doesn't my old classmate stop talking? Is it because he is introverted and doesn't like communicating with others? Huang Wei, holding a cigar in his mouth, teased Shui Xiao next to him. Shui Xiao didn't say a word, but turned her head towards Huang Wei with a very dangerous expression. Seeing the other party's appearance, Huang Wei also pursed his lips and suppressed his smile. Seeing Huang Wei like that, Shui Xiao felt angry and had nowhere to vent her anger. She finally understood. Huang Wei was watching her joke at that time. He must have known Zhang Tian's strength. As for her niece, Shui Xiao also suddenly woke up. Why did Shui Ruyan behave like that in the first place? The other party was not blaming him for speaking too realistically, which might have hurt Zhang Tian's self-esteem. It's because Zhang Tian's strength is superior to Shui Ruyan's. I still said those words. What a good Zhang Tian, I didn't expect that this kid like you is good looking, but not honest at all. To be honest, Shui Xiao really didn't expect that Zhang Tian's strength could be so tyrannical. Judging from the information she got, it didn't make sense. But now that she thinks about it, she should have discovered the clues long ago. According to Huang Wei and Shui Ruyan, Zhang Tian discovered the traces of people in the Starry Sky sect in advance and hid them waiting for reinforcements. However, facing so many people from the Starry Sky sect, hiding and waiting safely for Huang Hui's arrival requires considerable strength. There's one thing I didn't understand. One of the members of the examination team frowned. Zhang Tian's behavior just now was too weird. What's weird about it? Although space rings are very rare, it doesn't mean you can't get them. Someone shook his head and glanced at Shui Xiao next to him. With the qualifications of the Shui family, space rings are not rare. However, this man still kept shaking his head. You misunderstood. I am not talking about the spatial explanation, but what they did with the bodies of the fire frogs, and they also processed them to a certain extent. Since I can use the space ring, I shouldn't go collecting the corpses of the fire frog clan and selling them. Although many people on the battlefield will collect the corpses of foreign races and sell them to make some money. However, the corpses of the fire frogs are of very low value for refining elixirs and have no other uses. What is the purpose of taking them away? If you don't understand your question, you should ask Deputy Team Leader Huang. Another person next to him spoke and looked in Huang Hui's direction. Among them, Huang Wei is the most familiar with this classmate Zhang Tian. He should be very aware of classmate Zhang Tian's weird behavior. You will know if you keep reading. Huang Wei crossed his arms with a mysterious smile on his face. I have already reported the specific situation. I am also responsible for observing this martial arts college entrance examination. Huang Hui's mysterious words greatly attracted everyone's attention. Although they occasionally looked at the performances of other students on the projection screen, most of the time they were looking for Zhang Tian and Shui Ruyan. Everyone even voted to control the connection between the monitoring equipment and the formation, locking in the actions of Zhang Tian and Shui Ruyan. On the projection screen, they watched Zhang Tian and Shui Ruyan walk a certain distance before arriving at a clear pool. The water system in the small world of Wotang is very developed, but many pools, lakes, and rivers are turbid and hot. But there is also clear water. The spring water in front of Zhang Tian and Shui Ruyan gushes out from the ground. It is still warm, scalding and steamy. Just when you get close and smell it carefully, you can smell a unique fragrance. According to the information, this is a kind of mineral water from Wotang Small World, and it tastes very good. On the market in the human world, there are also mineral water products whose raw materials come from the small world of Wotang. After finding the mineral spring in the small world of Wotang, Zhang Tian began to take out things from the space ring. The first is a special mobile stove, because when Zhang Tian cooks, he uses his own blood to ignite the flames. Therefore, under this special mobile stove, there is a device that can infuse blood. Zhang Tian only needs to pour his blood energy into it, and he can easily control the heat. Although the blood energy flames will be consumed and will dissipate after a while, Zhang Tian will not have a problem as long as he replenishes them in time. The mobile stove also has a wide countertop, and kitchen utensils such as cutting boards also appear on it. Zhang Tian had to sigh. This gift from Shui Ruyan was so good and convenient. At this moment, the monitoring room once again fell into an eerie silence. When they first saw Zhang Tian and Shui Ruyan find themselves at the edge of a mineral spring, they thought they were going to take a good rest here. Wait until you have enough energy and everything is ready. Then hunt down foreign races, earn military merit and impact your performance rankings. Just when they all thought so, they saw Zhang Tian taking something from the space ring. That huge and exquisite integrated stove and cabinet appeared next to the mineral spring. In an instant, except for Huang Wei, all the members of the examination team at the number 1 examination center were present. I feel like my cerebellum has shrunk. If we want to describe it more abstractly, golden question marks are jumping out of their heads crazily. Afterwards, they could clearly see that Jiang Tian and Shui Ruyan started to work together after fetching water. Shui Ruyan is washing rice and preparing to cook. Jiang Tian, on the other hand, took out the processed fire frog clan from the space ring and began to modify it with a kitchen knife. The skinned fire frog was cut into pieces and then put into a large basin prepared in advance. Jiang Tian poured the sauce prepared in advance into the basin and stirred evenly. After everything was ready, Jiang Tian began to gather his blood energy and lit the stove. Heat a pan, pour in a wide amount of oil, wait until the oil pan starts to smoke, then pour the modified fire frog cubes into it. Tisk tisk tisk. The frying sound began to sound. Jiang Tian watched silently with a spatula. After the meat tightened and was slightly fried, he started to stir-fry gently. Very good, it was fried perfectly. Jiang Tian nodded with satisfaction, then took out the fried fire frog meat to control the oil, then lifted the big pot with his bare hands and poured out the excess oil. After heating the pot again and adding some base oil, Jiang Tian poured flame fruit-based spices into the pot and began to sauté. Then pour the fried fire frog meat into it and stir-fry over high heat. After looking at it for a while, Jiang Tian poured a spoonful of oil to brighten it up, then took it out of the pot and put it on a plate. Immediately, the flame fruit oil explosive fire frog, which was full of color, fragrance and flavor, was placed on the dining table that Jiang Tian had previously placed in the space ring. At the same time, Jiang Tian also took out the braised pig's trotters that had been prepared in advance from the space ring. Because of the characteristics of the space ring, it is steaming as if it had just come out of the pot. Coupled with Jiang Tian's blood energy and flame characteristics, the cooking speed is also very fast. Shui Ruyan also helped prepare the rice and put away the dishes. Next, let's have a taste of whether this fire frog tribe is delicious. Jiang Tian exhaled lightly, clasped his hands together and began to pray. Thank you for hunting the ingredients, thank you for my hard work in cooking, and thank you Shui for your hard work. Let's eat. After praying to himself, Jiang Tian also greeted Shui Ruyan in front of him. The two began to taste the delicious food in front of them. Monitoring room. Again, except Huang Wei, all the members of the examination team. Looking at the picture on the projection screen, my mind. It's down. Take a closer look at the situation of other students at the martial arts college entrance examination. The students who chose to join the regular army are still sweating on the school field and completing the temporary training plan of their superiors. Compared with in school, the intensity and difficulty here are obviously much higher. All of them were rolling on the ground in disgrace. As for those students who joined the logistics department, they are now entering a busy working environment under the leadership of the elderly in the base. Although it is logistics, the tasks they face are not simple either. Everyone was sweating profusely, and the intensity was completely different from previous training. Let's look at the top students who are the strongest and have chosen to move freely. What is their situation now? I saw them being cautious in groups, and they were currently in a state of rest. However, even when they were resting, they did not relax their vigilance, but were in a state of alert. People are arranged to take turns to be on duty, patrolling distant places around and occupying favorable terrain for observation. To prevent them from being attacked by aliens during their rest. It is also essential to eat something to replenish your strength, and at the same time, everyone eats different things. It was specially made dry food and nutritious instant food. It could be seen from their expressions while eating that it was not very delicious. But there is no problem, at least among the members of the examination group, many people come here like this. Especially after their realm has improved, in order to quickly recover their physical strength and reduce their rest time to ensure safety, they use developed elixirs instead. In addition, there was also the unlucky guy who was ambushed by the Fire Frog clan. He was injured and chased towards the base, exhausted. So, take a closer look at Jiang Tian and Shui Ruyan, what are they doing? The two people were sitting comfortably at the dining table, enjoying the exquisite dishes. Want to ask if it tastes good? Isn't it delicious? Look at what this pretty girl Shui Ruyan eats, she's a bit dishonest. The surrounding members of the examination team were all very old, and they couldn't help but swallow their saliva when they saw Jiang Tian and Shui Ruyan eating. There is no way, what these two people eat is really delicious. Phew. After eating half full, Shui Ruyan put down her bowls and chopsticks, because she knew very well that the next step was to improve the dishes. Shui Ruyan recalled carefully and told Jiang Tian in detail, I feel that I may have put a little less flame fruit and a little less oil. The taste of the dish this time should be stronger. Also, when marinating, try adding a little sugar. You can also control the oil in the pan and wait until it cools down before frying again. The taste should be even better. Jiang Tian nodded briefly and took Shui Ruyan's suggestion to heart. After reviewing it for a while, he quickly took a few bites and returned to the stove for a new round of attempts. As for Shui Ruyan, she carefully felt the surge of blood in her body and the recovery of the previous battle consumption. At this time, she did not practice the introductory method, but looked around to check. When this place was selected previously, Shui Ruyan arranged a simple detection array. Once a foreign race invaded and approached this area, an alarm would be raised. Although there is no profession of formation mage, there is no way to arrange those powerful formations. But with such a simple and basic formation, it was very easy for Shui Ruyan to arrange it, and the profession of Qi refiner also helped to a certain extent. After all, these most basic things are not very restrictive by profession. Just like formation masters, alchemists, and weapon refiners, although they are auxiliary professions, it does not mean that they do not have the ability to fight. In fact, if Jiang Tian, who is more powerful, is allowed to arrange it, the effect will be better. But unfortunately, Jiang Tian is very bad at these basic things. He was obviously a chef who was very good at controlling heat, but letting Jiang Tian make elixirs was even more uncomfortable than killing him. During the period before the exam, Jiang Tian had already tried many exercises on basic knowledge. It's a pity that he seems to have focused all his talents on cooking skills and has not touched at all in other aspects. In this regard, Shui Ruyan felt closer to Jiang Tian. It turned out that monsters like him also had areas that they were not good at. Jiang Tian was busy making another improvement to the dishes, and Shui Ruyan was also observing the surroundings to avoid being disturbed by foreigners. Fortunately, everything was fine and went very smoothly. At the same time, the members of the examination team in the monitoring room were swallowing their saliva and talking about it. This kid must be very good at cooking. I'm getting hungry just looking at him. Don't say anything, it really looks like that. The actual martial arts exam between the two of them passed just like an outing. If it is strong enough, it can create a more comfortable environment by itself. While everyone was discussing endlessly, they discovered that the ant they were talking about, Shui Xiao, the leader of the examination team, did not seem to show any relief. Instead, he stared solemnly at the projection screen, as if thinking and waiting. After a moment, Shui Xiao, who had been silent for a long time, suddenly spoke, Huang Wei, is this what you said you wanted to observe before? That's right, isn't it very powerful and very relieving? Huang Wei grinned, Feng Shui has changed. In the past, the foreign races always hunted as humans and used as humans as food. Didn't you expect that it would be their turn? The sudden conversation between the two made other people in the monitoring room react. The dishes cooked by Jiang Tian were beautiful, and the food the two of them ate was so delicious. In addition, the contrast between their leisurely state made everyone overlook a crucial situation. Where's the poison? Foreign races cannot eat it directly because they contain a special toxin in their bodies. If humans swallow it, it will damage the meridians and dantian, and even cause death in severe cases. Therefore, the greatest use of alien corpses is to refine blood qi pills. After refining the blood qi pill with the help of an alchemist, it is used to assist in practice and restore physical strength. However, there was no way to remove this toxin, and it was left in the elixir and became the so-called erysipelas. But aren't the ingredients Jiang Tian is cooking on the screen the alien fire frog tribe? Why was it that after the two of them ate the meat of a foreign race, there was no such toxin effect? The two of them were so full of energy and vitality. When classmate Jiang Tian cooks alien meat, can he weaken the toxins in the alien meat, similar to refining elixirs? Shui Xiao looked at Huang Wei and asked with a solemn expression. In response, Huang Wei smiled. It's not about weakening, but about completely removing the toxins. As soon as these words came out, the members of the examination team in the monitoring room fell silent again. It took a while before any movement emerged. Ah! Toxins, completely removed. After hearing Huang Hui's words, everyone's expressions were in disbelief, wondering if they heard it wrong. How to remove toxins from alien meat has always been a problem that the human race wants to overcome. The elixir refined by the foreign race is very effective and is of great help to the human race. But the very troublesome thing is the toxins in it, and there is no way to get rid of them. This is actually not equal. During the struggle between the human race and the alien races, many strong men from the human race were left dead. Why? Because after they died in battle, they were devoured by powerful aliens and turned into nutrition for the other party. The powerful human race is also a delicious and effective supplement to these alien races. For the human race, isn't this a humiliation? The hero who dedicated himself to the entire ethnic group could not even collect his body after death, and had to watch helplessly as he was eaten by aliens. Now, as Huang Wei said, things have turned. Zhang Tian used the beheaded aliens as ingredients to cook delicious dishes that were full of color, flavor and aroma. Relieve your anger. At this moment, when the members in the monitoring room thought of this place, they felt as if a sense of depression had dissipated in their hearts. Could it be that this child has awakened a special talent that gives him such an ability? One of the members of the examination team couldn't help but ask. Someone nodded. It's not impossible. Many talents are all kinds of weird. After all, a relative's child in my family has awakened talents. When he drinks water, it tastes like alcohol. Seeing everyone discussing this issue, Huang Wei smiled happily and took a puff of his cigar. This is also one of the teacher's plans, allowing Zhang Tian to reveal part of his fighting talent, as well as his extremely special talent in cooking. After a two-pronged approach, the teacher was able to legitimately open a special chef major for Zhang Tian after he entered the school. He also applied for additional resources from the Tang dynasty's senior management to cultivate Zhang Tian's growth. On the surface, Zhang Tian is a special genius, but he is better able to hide his monster-like nature. With the support of many resources, his growth rate will definitely be rapid. In addition, Zhou Sheng is also looking forward to it. As Zhang Tian's special profession continues to improve, will he have some additional abilities when he experiences his next awakening? If nothing else happens, there should be no problem for this child to be admitted to Hongwu University in Star City. Huang Wei suddenly spoke at this moment, grinning. My teacher has noticed this child and is very interested in him. At the moment, Zhang Tian and Zhou Sheng's real master-disciple relationship must not be exposed. But using Zhou Sheng's excuse of already paying attention to Zhang Tian can also add the name Zhou Sheng to Zhang Tian's background without others looking into it. The word, Zhou Sheng, is full of gold. After the martial arts college entrance examination, Zhang Tian's situation and reputation have spread. If someone wants to use their brains, they have to think about it. What about me? At this time, Shui Xiao's voice with a hint of chill sounded in Huang Hui's ears. When Huang Wei turned his head, he noticed Shui Xiao's ugly expression. He didn't react at first. But soon, he wanted to understand why the other party had a frosty look on his face. I think the person in front of me kindly reminded Zhang Tian to work hard to get admitted to a university in Star City, because Shui Rian volunteered to be admitted to Hongwu University in Star City, so that the two of them could be closer. As a result, Huang Wei is now here to say that the president of Hongwu University in Star City has noticed Zhang Tian, and it should be no problem to enter this university. So, if what she said back then was still reflected, wouldn't it mean that she was a clown? No, after all, he is my teacher, and this child and my nephew are good brothers. If you are happy, just talk more and talk more. Huang Wei chuckled and waved his hands, indicating that he definitely didn't mean that. Shui Xiao narrowed her eyes. Really? Look at the corners of your mouth, they are raised to the sky. Ah, is there any? Huang Wei pretended to be confused, but he still had a smile on his face and his shoulders kept shaking. I can't help it, but if I recall it carefully, it's still so funny. Shui Xiao also had a dark face and could only let Huang Wei in front of him laugh at him wantonly. What else can I do if I have committed a sin myself? Recalling the original situation, Shui Xiao herself felt ashamed and felt very uncomfortable. Then, on the projection screen, the accident happened suddenly, attracting everyone's attention. On the screen, where Zhang Tian cooks dishes, an uninvited guest is welcomed. The formation that was alert to the surroundings and monitored all directions suddenly let out a sharp chirping sound. It is obvious that there are a large number of aliens approaching here at a very fast speed, and they are feeling the fluctuations fed back by the formation. It was obvious that these alien races were encircling them. The location of this mineral spring belongs to the depression of the terrain of this small world of Wotang. It didn't take long for these alien figures to appear on the low slopes in the distance. Many armored fire frogs were jumping on these slopes with long forks, shouting, as if they were demonstrating. In addition to the familiar fire frog tribe, there are also other alien races from the small world of Wotang who come together. This alien race is also an inferior race, and they are like coolies like the fire frogs. Fire fish tribe. From the appearance, it looks like a red fish with hands and feet. Its body shape is similar to that of the fire frog tribe. It is short and chubby and looks a little cute. But they are also very cruel, and the past atrocities against humans are also written in the data. When the time and space gate first appeared, the firefish tribe would place fish eggs in the human race's bodies as a breeding ground. While the human race was still alive at that time, life was worse than death, and it was too painful to live. Judging from the current situation, it is obvious that the Fire Frog clan has contacted the Firefish clan to hunt down Zhang Tian, a human genius who has killed many of his own clan. For the Fire Frog tribe and the Firefish tribe, if they can kill the geniuses of the human race, they will be rewarded by the superior race, the Fire Feather tribe. The two aliens who gathered around were full of momentum, one was barking and the other was beeping non-stop. However, the commotion between the two races gradually began to calm down, and the reason was the behavior of the male of the two races surrounded by them. In addition, there was a scene in front of them that greatly stimulated the hearts of these aliens. Next to the entire sunken mineral spring, Zhang Tian raised his head, looked around at the aliens, and slowly put a piece of fried frog meat into his mouth. Chewing the bones and meat together, making a clicking sound. There was a deathly silence all around. The fire frogs who had gathered around to pursue them began to become restless. The hot mineral water gurgled, and on the large and complete stove, hot oil was boiling in the black cauldron. Frog meat was being fried inside. The sizzling sound of the tender white frog meat soaked in oil and fried until golden brown, along with the aroma of the meat, made Zhang Tian's expression very intoxicating. Facing the so-called alien siege, Zhang Tian didn't show any panic on his face, but used a large colander to prepare the fried frog meat. At the same time, I also took out 1 or 2 pieces and put them in my mouth to chew to see if the base flavor was sufficient and whether the taste would be better. And he walked to the chopping board next to him, and recut the half-processed fire frog. Every time the chopping sound of the knife was heard, it seemed to hit the hearts of these fire frogs. After Zhang Tian changed his knife, when he mixed and marinated the frog meat, many fire frogs only felt that the skin on their bodies was numb. When this human male threw another pot of pickled frog meat into the oil pan and fried it with a sizzling sound, some fire frogs couldn't help but take a step back. What is the situation at hand? The fire frogs are an inferior race and their intelligence is a bit lower, but that doesn't mean they are fools. The elders of Sanwanchi clearly reported the situation and said that the younger generation of the human race came to the small world of Wotang to experience, and they were powerful and talented. If the Fire Frog clan and the Firefish clan in their area join forces to kill this man, it will definitely be a great achievement and will be rewarded by the superior race, the Fire Feather clan. By then, the Fire Frog and Firefish tribe in their area will be able to relocate their habitats and enter the core area. Therefore, the Fire Frog and Firefish tribes in their area gathered their elites to besiege them. Their exquisite tracking abilities allowed them to discover the locations of Zhang Tian and Shui Ruyan, but what would greet them? The skin of the people of the same race was skinned, placed on the table in a humiliating posture, and cut into pieces by the people. Moreover, the same race was actually made into food by this human race male. Oh, my superior lord of the Fire Feather clan. Open your eyes and take a good look. The fire frogs of this human race eat so deliciously. Classmate Zhang, Shui Ruyan turned to look at Zhang Tian and asked. When they formed a team, they had already discussed it in advance. In return, Zhang Tian will help Shui Ruyan hone herself in this martial arts college entrance examination, but whether to take action or not must be approved by him. If the situation permits, Shui Ruyan will take action to sharpen herself. If Jiang Tian didn't agree, she would have to stay calm and not cause trouble to the former. The dishes are not ready yet, just watch the pot. After Jiang Tian gave instructions to Shui Ruyan, he looked towards the fire fish tribe that appeared on the hillside. His eyes were very excited. Bring the other ingredients to the new ingredients and take the initiative to find them. How can I let you go if you come to your door? We have to make a quick decision before it's fried. It looks like we need to try cooking the Firefish clan's dishes in advance. Facing Jiang Tian's instructions, Shui Ruyan nodded lightly. Don't worry, I will take good care of it. Clang. Jiang Tian picked up the Black Dragon kitchen knife, shook it slightly, and took the lead in attacking the aliens. When sprinting at an explosive speed, Jiang Tian couldn't help laughing excitedly. Ha ha ha, your ingredients are much cuter than those of the Yaniao tribe, and you even take the initiative to deliver them to your door. Almost as soon as the laughter rang out, Jiang Tian had already arrived in front of a Firefish tribe. Bobo. The Firefish tribe made a sound. A pair of fish eyes met Jiang Tian, and he subconsciously raised his fork. But it found that it couldn't lift its fork. The next moment, it saw the hand holding the fork, which seemed to fly. When it comes to making fish, your hands and feet are superfluous. As Jiang Tian spoke, the limbs of the firefish in front of him had been chopped off, leaving only the chubby red fish body. Bang! Jiang Tian directly slapped the head of the firefish tribe in front of him with the blade of the blade. The fat red fish that fell on the ground fainted before it could even flutter twice. After finishing all this, Jiang Tian stabbed down the fat fish in front of him, dissembled it, and kicked it away with a casual kick. The firefish tribe, which had its limbs cut off and its stomach disemboweled, flew for a while and then rolled down to the bottom of the slope, not far from Shui Ruyan's feet. Shui Ruyan waved her spear slightly, adjusted the position of the half-processed firefish tribe, and then continued to look around. To prevent these aliens from rushing here, her task is not to kill the enemies, but to prevent the aliens from dirtying the stove. Jiang Tian's talent is knife skills. Even if he is strong, cutting these ingredients will double his efficiency. But in the blink of an eye, there were two more firefish and a fire frog with their head cut off at Shui Ruyan's feet. Great harvest, great harvest. Jiang Tian was also grinning from ear to ear. Is there anything more satisfying than being presented with a lot of ingredients in front of a chef who is improving his cooking skills? Even on a whim, Jiang Tian cut off a piece of fish meat from the fattest firefish tribe with one knife, held it in his hand and roasted it directly with the bloody flames. Then put it in your mouth and chew it carefully. No way, as an excellent chef, when seeing good ingredients, of course the first thing he wants to do is feel the taste, texture, and prospects of dish development. Sweet. Jiang Tian couldn't help exclaiming, the meat of your fish is so sweet, tisk tisk. Jiang Tian gave a very high evaluation to the quality of the firefish tribe. But he was happy, but these firefish tribe were so frightened that they kept babbling and started spitting bubbles crazily. Is this human male a devil? The leader of their firefish clan was actually cut into a piece of meat on the spot and then roasted and eaten. What was even more terrifying was that the human male in front of him knocked out the big leader, cut a large piece of meat, chased them, chopped it, and grilled it. There is no human race here, they are simply demons. How can a human race eat them and chop them at the same time, and it is different from other human races? When other human races fought with them, every one of them had a fierce look on their face, and their eyes were filled with hatred and fighting intent. What about this demonic human race? He was swallowing hard while chasing them. I saw it. As the deputy leader of the Firefish clan, it saw it. Baba, the deputy leader of the Firefish tribe shouted loudly and took the lead in escaping. The plump fish tail flapped wildly from side to side, as if trying to use the wind to increase his escape speed. This human race is so terrifying. Obviously when their teams gathered together, the picture they imagined was not like this. At the beginning, before preparing to set off, everyone was very confident and believed that this operation would be successful. They were just besieging and killing two young geniuses from the human race, and there were no regular human troops around. With the combined efforts of several of their tribes and the cooperation of the two races, what does it mean to win over just two descendants of the human race? Even during the search, they encountered traces of other young geniuses from the human race. When the other party saw their team, they stayed away from each other and did not dare to face them directly. That scene made the teams of both tribes laugh, it was so joyful. Some tribesmen are imagining, what kind of beautiful days will it be like to capture or kill such a human genius, and get a reward and move to the core area. After all, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The human genius acts alone without protection. Everything seems so wonderful, everything seems so beautiful. Until they found the target of this operation, the human genius. No, this is not a human genius. At least the deputy leader of the Firefish tribe team thought that this human race male was not a human race genius. But the devil, they need to learn the human language to avoid being told important information by others when facing the enemy. This deputy leader of the Firefish clan is very good at learning human language. He can't speak it, he can only beat, but he can understand it. When Zhang Tian blocked its escape route with a smile and chopped off its hands and feet with a black dragon kitchen knife, it heard the extremely terrifying whispers from the mouth of the human devil in front of it. This one is the fattest and looks the most delicious. Along with the words, there was a kitchen knife in Zhang Tian's hand. Bang! The deputy leader of the Firefish clan suddenly lost his mind and fainted from being photographed. Zhang Tian raised the knife and disemboweled him, then kicked the plump firefish away and threw it towards Shui Ruyan. Shui Ruyan's spear flicked and caught the flying firefish tribe. The fat fish body hit and bent the gun, but Shui Ruyan used the force to unload it and placed it easily on the ground next to it. Then he lightly kicked the gun head with his heel, straightened the gun body, and continued to stare at the surrounding circle. Although her vigilance had not lowered, Shui Ruyan believed that the situation in front of her would not be dangerous. This group of fire frogs and firefish seemed to be frightened by Zhang Tian, and they all ran away quickly. The surroundings were filled with the panicked cries of the fire frog tribe and the rapid boop 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 sounds of the firefish tribe. There were too many fire frogs and firefish tribes who came to surround and kill Zhang Tian. The number was over 100 at least. When she entered the outside area previously, Shui Ruyan had already keenly discovered the surveillance equipment and hidden surveillance formations. If Zhang Tian turns on the physical furnace state, he can indeed keep all these ingredients. Unfortunately, since he was being monitored, Zhang Tian couldn't reveal his trump card. We can only use the strength we have shown now to try our best to choose the strongest fire frog and firefish tribe. The stronger they are, the chubby the fire frog and firefish tribe become, and they look delicious. What a pity! After Zhang Tian beheaded a fire frog in front of him, he held its feet in his hands and looked ahead. In his sight, the fire frogs were jumping around and running away quickly. The firefish tribe, on the other hand, stepped on their short legs, flapped their tails, and fled for their lives. A little further away, there is a river. The fire frogs and firefish tribes were scrambling to be the first and jumped into the river one after another. Now in their minds, this sunken valley with mineral springs is simply the habitat of demons. This young human male is clearly the incarnation of the devil. Stay away from here, the further away the better. When Zhang Tian came back with the remaining fire frogs, Shui Ruyan had already started to help process the ingredients. When the alien race was defeated, Shui Ruyan knew that the situation was decided. There are still a lot of ingredients, and it can be done a little faster if she helps. When Zhang Tian came back, he immediately went to look at the pot. Seeing that the frog meat was not fried yet, he turned around and followed Shui Ruyan to handle the ingredients. It's a pity that I'm still cooking. I have to do it quickly, otherwise I'll bring a few over for you to practice. Zhang Tian skillfully tore off the skin of the fire frogs and kept talking. Shui Ruyan didn't care about this and waved her hand casually. There will be many opportunities like this in the future, so there is no need to rush this moment. Zhang Tian nodded, and at the same time, his own strength was fully demonstrated at this moment. He captured these fire frogs, and he skinned them easily and threw them aside. Shui Ruyan was brought in to remove the internal organs, cleaned, and then placed in the open space prepared in advance. The mineral spring surges out, and the water flows along the terrain to the side, like a stream, and finally penetrates into the rock formations and disappears. But at this moment, the flowing stream turned bright red. After the fire frog tribe was almost done, Zhang Tian brought over the firefish tribe. This fat body was very fleshy. Zhang Tian took a knife to scrape off the scales and remove the internal organs, and then washed it for Shui Ruyan. The two have a clear division of labor, and their movements are clean and very fast. During the process, Jiang Tian would stare at the oil pan from time to time to see if his frog meat was ready. It was clear that there had just been a fierce battle here, but it was as if nothing happened. Jiang Tian was still studying his dishes seriously. In addition to Shui Ruyan's help, he also took the time to practice the entry method, practice polishing his own fighting skills, and digest the food he had just eaten. Waiting for the next taste to help Jiang Tian improve the quality of the dishes. Everything looks so harmonious and beautiful. The members of the examination team in the monitoring room once again fell into an eerie silence. Why is the picture in front of me so weird and yet so normal? What did they see at the martial arts college entrance examination site? A boy who is obviously a college entrance examination candidate but more like a cook is killing people randomly. The aliens have always been fearless of death and very ferocious. Even though the fire frog and fire fish tribe look chubby and cute, they are actually ruthless characters at heart. In the process of fighting with them, the warriors of the human race will not be able to do it if they are not courageous enough. When fighting against foreigners, one has to compete with others to see who is more ruthless and to strike more decisively and ruthlessly. This is the field of life and death. But Jiang Tian, a candidate, frightened the aliens into running away, as if they were their natural enemies. Wait a moment, many members of the examination team thought about it carefully. What Jiang Tian is showing now is that he is not the natural enemy of these foreign races. Not to mention anything else, just the look on Jiang Tian's face as he laughed wildly before taking action, and his behavior of killing and eating aliens at the same time. It was indeed very terrifying, even their scalps were numb. So it is reasonable for foreigners who face him to feel fear and terror. This time, we can also let this group of aliens feel the feeling of being devoured in front of their own race. The middle-aged man who spoke first was the most relieved. He waved his hands wildly and looked at Jiang Tian on the screen with fiery eyes, his whole body trembling slightly. I am willing to protect this child with my own life. After the middle-aged man finished speaking, everyone present looked over with strange expressions on their faces. These words are not said casually. When he said this, he wanted to be a protector. Guardians are indeed mostly second-line personnel. Huang Wei was injured in the first place, so he took a back seat and returned to the human world to take up a position, recuperate and seek opportunities to break through and restore himself. Now that he has recovered, he is about to return to the front line. This time, the examination group work for the martial arts college entrance examination is a transition. Shui Xiao came here specifically to take charge because of her strength. She was considered a frontline existence in the human race. The human race who are in good condition are all fighting on the front line, fighting against alien races to protect the peace of the human race world. Many of them were injured or unable to continue the high-intensity battle, so they took a back seat. The middle-aged man is like this, but it doesn't mean that he doesn't have the strength to fight. As a second-tier man, he said this because he wanted to be a protector and use his own life to protect Jiang Tian's growth. If Jiang Tian was allowed to die for his own safety, he would not hesitate. In fact, those who know him well can understand this choice. Jiang Tian's performance on the screen just now probably touched him deeply. After all, his wife was eaten by aliens on the battlefield, and he was seriously injured, so he could only retreat to the second line. This is his heart disease. Although he seems to be well adjusted, he has always hidden it in his heart. Now that Jiang Tian was on the battlefield, killing and devouring aliens at the same time, it reminded him of his own experience, which was why he was so relieved and spoke like this. Huang Wei, who was beside him, also looked at the screen and couldn't help but sigh after hearing what the other party said. Junior brother, I didn't expect you to have a protector so soon. But I believe that more and more people will choose to be your protectors. These people will even hide their thoughts in their hearts and protect you secretly. Even if it means giving your own life. Jiang Tian simply wanted to be a good chef and regard foreign races as the best ingredients. He treats his dream very sincerely and doesn't think too much about unnecessary things. But he doesn't know what impact his abilities and actions will have on other people. Not to mention that he would untie other people's knots and feel proud for others. Just because others have experienced extremely dark and tragic things, like Wang Liuming who wants to be Jiang Tian's protector. The sadness deep in his heart was being warmed by Jiang Tian's cooking flames. Perhaps what Wang Liuming saw was not the hope and future of the human race. What he saw might be very simple. If Zhang Tian grows up, he will have the opportunity to let other races experience his pain. This alone is enough for Wang Liuming to burn the last of his worth and protect Zhang Tian's growth. After this exam, I hope to be able to eat the food cooked by classmate Zhang. Wang Liuming looked at the projection screen and said slowly, cooking made by aliens. The others beside him were silent for a moment, and then nodded. If nothing else, I'm really curious about how it tastes. Needless to say, it will definitely taste very good. Members of the examination team, you said one word to me. Of course, when they looked at the projection screen, they were particularly looking forward to Zhang Tian's next performance. However, Shui Xiao remained silent, not saying anything more and observing the picture carefully. This girl Xiao Ruyan's entry and training methods have lasted too long. Shui Xiao narrowed her eyes slightly and thought to herself. You need to know the introductory method and the tempering method. Of course, the effect will be very good if you practice them. But it's not enough to go too far. Relying entirely on the relatively rich spiritual energy of the small world of Wotang, it may be possible to extend the training time. But the time has not only doubled, it has not stopped yet. If you practice excessively, your body will be exhausted, your foundation will be damaged, and you will lose more than you gain. Unless the blood in Shui Ruyan's body is too full to support her practice. If you want to do this, you have to take the blood qi pill. But Shui Xiao knew that Shui Ruyan was not allowed to use blood qi pill at home, at least not at this stage. When laying the foundation, there is no room for sloppiness. If you want to reach a higher level, you cannot take the blood qi pill before level 3. After level 3, don't use the blood qi pill if you can. Try to use the kind of pill that assists cultivation. Blood qi pill, a simple and crude elixir, can only be used to replenish blood qi urgently when there is a crisis in a life and death fight and when the remaining strength is exhausted. The food cooked by that child is probably not simple, nor is it simply delicious. Shui Xiao was able to conclude that Zhang Tian's food could replenish blood. In fact, exotic meat is very nutritious, and it must be very effective in nourishing the body and replenishing blood. Otherwise, the opponent's flesh and blood would not be used to refine the blood qi pill, so everyone must know that the dishes cooked by Zhang Tian are also effective after eating them. As for the extent of this effect, it cannot be determined. When Shui Xiao was thinking about it, everyone also talked about this aspect of the routine. Everyone was also curious, did Zhang Tian's foreign food cooking have special effects? But soon, everyone was surprised by Zhang Tian's terrifying appetite. Back and forth, Zhang Tian cooked 3 fire frogs, even though they had their heads chopped off and processed. The fire frog tribe is also as big as a calf. At least most of these 3 went into Zhang Tian's belly, and only part of them was eaten by Shui Ruyan. Although everyone's digestive ability is terrible after practicing, it is far less exaggerated than Zhang Tian's performance. Isn't this too delicious? But they didn't know that Zhang Tian had eaten so many fire frogs, and the blood contained in them had been continuously put into the physical furnace that ran at low power. The blood abyss furnace technique was running slowly, consuming blood and tempering the whole body in meridians and dantian, strengthening Zhang Tian's strength. It seemed like Zhang Tian was simply tasting the food, but in fact, he was still getting stronger. Hiccup. After burping, Zhang Tian began to clean the stove and kitchen utensils, and also took out the buckets prepared in advance and packed mineral water. He said to Shui Ruyan, after eating and drinking, it's time to do some exercise. Let's continue to act later. It's still the same old rules. Classmate Shui starts the fight first. If we really can't hold on anymore, I'll finish it off. Shui Ruyan nodded. No problem. The feeling of high tension during the siege just now is indeed very tempering. After Zhang Tian put away everything, he left this place with Shui Ruyan. But the two of them didn't know that at the same time, at the bottom of the pool within the Wotang Small World Examination Area, various tribes had been frightened by the news of the tribesmen who had escaped. A small world of fire soup, at the bottom of the scalding pool. The bottom of the water is not a pool of mud, but a clean lake bottom that has been cleaned up. In addition, there are many stone nests. Glittering fluorescent stones are suspended on the road at the bottom of the lake, illuminating the surrounding stone nests and the tribe's village. Here, there is obviously a very large tribe. In the center of the Lake Bottom village, there is a Lake Bottom palace built with colorful stones. Although it looks very simple, it has a unique simple beauty. Inside, there was an older fire frog tribe and an older fire fish tribe. Compared with the younger tribesmen, their bodies are obviously thinner. These two alien races belong to the elders of this area. They were talking stumblingly to each other in a language with weird syllables. At this time, there was a noisy noise outside, and soon some fire frogs and fire fish tribes broke in. Seeing these tribesmen running in, the two elders were very surprised. They were all elite warriors who went to encircle and suppress the human geniuses before. Why did they come back now? Moreover, as for the commander and deputy commander, why are only a few captains coming back, and they are still the weaker ones? Among them, a fire frog clan danced and reported the situation. Wow. Wow wow. Wow wow wow. Boom boom. Next to him, a captain of the fire fish tribe also hurriedly echoed, boom, boom boom. Boom. The two elders were in disbelief after listening to the reports from their clan members. According to the tribesmen's words, their large team easily found the mission target. But as soon as he found the young genius from the human race, he saw a terrifying scene. The members of the fire frog clan were skinned, cut into pieces by the human race, and were being fried in a pan. Forget about being bombed, the humans are just like monsters, just eat their own compatriots, eat the meat without spitting out the bones, just chew it up and swallow it. It's even worse for the fire fish tribe. The leader can't defeat the human devil. The human race's hands were breathing fire, and while he was chopping up the leader of the fire fish tribe, he cut off its flesh, roasted it and ate it on the spot. Horrible. Wow. The elder of the fire frog tribe was really shocked and asked his subordinates quickly. Wow wow. This subordinate also gave his own answer. At this time, the elder of the fire frog tribe felt that the matter seemed serious. The human race ate them, the fire frog tribe and the fire fish tribe, but they were fine and not poisoned. It quickly exchanged views with the elders of the fire fish tribe next to it to discuss how they should act next. The fire fish clan fell into deep thought, and finally the fish's eyes sparkled and he put forward his own suggestions. Use the trump cards of the two tribes from each other's tribes to encircle and suppress them again. Such a great contribution cannot be missed. What if that human race was just bluffing? The other party, on the surface, is eating, but in fact it is just to scare them. After all, they are surrounded by a large number of people, and the opponent has a small number of people, so they can only use this method to scare off the enemy. It was a battlefield at that time, and in the confusion, his subordinates might have misjudged the situation. Regarding the suggestion from the fire fish clan elder, the fire frog clan elder of this tribe touched his frog head, thought for a moment, and agreed to the plan. Soon, the order was passed on. The aces of the two tribes, the elite warriors who were in seclusion and preparing to break through to level 2, came to this underwater palace. The aces of the fire frog tribe and fire fish tribe who arrived were obviously much larger in size. Compared to the fire frog tribe and fire fish tribe around them, these two aces are obviously a head taller. The chiefs of the fire frog clan and the fire fish clan immediately described the process vividly, as well as their expectations for the two aces. The two aces also knelt on the ground and assured the two elders that they would complete the task. Then, the aces of the two clans turned around and gathered their clansmen. Wow, wow, the ace of the fire frog tribe waved the three-pointed fork in his hand. Wow, each fire frog clan roared angrily. The ace of the fire fish tribe next to him also raised the spear in his hand, boo-boo. Boom, the fire fish tribe was also excited, echoing their trump card. At this moment, the teams of the two tribes were full of momentum, swimming towards the top of the pool under the expectant eyes of the elders. Then the elders of the two clans sat down with peace of mind, quietly waiting for the good news to come. Time passes slowly. Evening. Inside the human base of Wotang's small world. Huang Xing and Guo Qihong had finished today's regular army training and were heading in a certain direction exhausted. The human base here is very large, just like a small city. Not long after, the two people arrived in front of a separate room with a courtyard. As expected of old Zhang, it's such a luxury. Looking at the assembled house in front of him, Huang Xing was still filled with emotion. You know, in this base, if you want to get rid of the difficult environment with the most basic guarantees, and if you want to live a comfortable life, you have to exchange military merit for it. Just like the single-family courtyard in front of you, if you want to stay for one night, you have to spend 3 points of military merit. For students like them, they have to kill 3 aliens. Huang Xing and Guo Qihong are still training at the base. There is no military merit. The training has just ended now, and they will only follow the regular army tomorrow. The rest of their time belongs to them, and they can do anything except not leaving the base and breaking some rules. It was at this time that Zhang Tian's message came over. Huang Xing and Guo Qihong obtained Zhang Tian's authorization in advance. They rang the doorbell first to remind Zhang Tian and Shui Ruyan that they had arrived, and then opened the door and walked in. As soon as the door was opened, smoke was seen rising from the courtyard, but it was blocked by the simple shielding array electronic barrier in the courtyard. Then it is collected by the air purifier on the side for an air cleaning. Good guy, where did you get this? Huang Xing was frightened as soon as he entered the courtyard gate. Guo Qihong next to him quickly closed the door and followed him. In front of them, Zhang Tian was making barbecue. A very plump fire frog had been skinned and cleaned, passed through with a dark black 3-pointed fork, and grilled there. Next to it, there was a processed fire fish. It was pierced by a spear and grilled there. It also looked very plump. Zhang Tian was squinting against the fireworks, and kept sprinkling spices on them. I was just chatting with Shui before going back to the base. I don't know where the Fire Frog clan and Fire Fish clan came out from, and they brought a whole bunch of them with them. Oh, my mouth is watering just by looking at it. The other Fire Frogs and Fire Fish tribes are not at the same level as these two. This isn't about killing it and then roasting it and eating it. I think it's better to enjoy it alone than to enjoy it together. I want you two to come over and eat some to recover your strength. After Zhang Tian finished spreading the ingredients, he clapped his hands with a smile on his face. As a chef, naturally you need someone to taste the deliciousness of your cooking. The more people there are and the better the food is, the happier they will naturally be. Is this their weapon? Huang Xing asked curiously, pointing at the 3-pronged fork and the spear. Zhang Tian nodded. Yes. Interesting. Guo Qihong, who was standing next to him, smelled the aroma and nodded happily. In this world, there are still barbecue ingredients that take the initiative to bring barbecue picks to the barbecue master. Guo Qihong's words immediately made Huang Xing unable to hold himself tight. This description is too appropriate. However, the smell of barbecue in front of me is really delicious. Shamelessly call me Lao Zhang and say thank you in advance. Guo Qihong suddenly raised his hand towards Zhang Tian and took something out of his backpack. A little gift is not a sign of respect. Zhang Tian clapped his hands and looked at Guo Qihong's behavior, which was a little strange. You're so good, what kind of gift are you giving me? Because your dish is not simple. If it weren't for the braised pig's trotters, I might not be able to do well in this regular army training. Guo Qihong explained the cause and effect. It turns out that regular military training is not only a simple training before going to the battlefield, but also a small internal assessment. If you get good grades, you will be assigned to the stormtroopers and have the opportunity to kill more aliens and win more military honors. Similarly, joining the stormtroopers also means more danger and it is easier to lose one's life. Guo Qihong's papers were returned, but for such an important exam as the martial arts college entrance examination, it is not the time to take the exam secretly, it is the time to work hard to climb up. Before the assessment, he followed Huang Xing's suggestion and ate braised pig's trotters first. Then he discovered what was surprising, the rich blood energy actually rose from his abdomen. Not only did it help him persist longer, but also achieved better results and entered the pioneers. It was during this arduous special training that he improved his strength with the help of this blood, and his original shackles were broken away. Before the martial arts college entrance examination began, Guo Qihong passed an instrument test and found that his overall tempering progress was stuck at 4%. In the level 1 awakening state, every 1% increase in the body's tempering level in the meridians and dantian is a huge improvement, and every 5% is a hurdle. After breaking through the shackles this time, Guo Qihong felt that he should have reached 5%, and maybe even close to 6% of the tempering degree. The reason was naturally the food given by Zhang Tian, and Guo Qihong didn't know if it was his own illusion. After eating it, he felt that his defense had improved and his skin seemed to be tougher. Only then did he feel extremely shocked. He sneaked up to Huang Xing and asked what was going on with this dish. From Huang Xing's mouth, he learned some shocking news. The ingredients of the dish are actually from foreign races. This was incredible. Guo Qihong was surprised when he thought about it carefully. Zhang Tian could actually cook aliens without being affected by toxins. It can also help you improve your strength and recover quickly. No wonder the other party wants to give you these foods as a gift in return. At the end of the training, he also received a message from Zhang Tian asking them to go over and eat. Can Guo Qihong sit still? If this opportunity comes, if I don't hug this thigh tightly, it's okay. He quickly packed up the supplements his father had prepared for him in his backpack and brought them over as gifts. When people call you to eat, they are giving you face, and they have good intentions, but as a human being, if others give you face, you yourself are shameless. The etiquette is light but the affection is heavy. People may not care about the price of the gift, but the heart is very important. Huang Xing was someone's best friend, so he could be shameless, but he wasn't qualified yet. Zhang Tian took the gift from Guo Qihong and opened it without any formality. He was familiar with the contents inside. They were ginseng slices, but they were not as good as his teacher Zhou Shang. But if someone has a good heart, that's enough. This ginseng slice will be used to stew soup. It's just right. Zhang Tian patted Guo Qihong on the shoulder and said with a smile, expressing that he was very satisfied with the gift. You guys sit down first, and we'll start eating when it's done. With that said, Zhang Tian fully demonstrated his powerful strength, and he lifted the heavy long fork with the big fire frog clan with one hand. And he faced the burning fire with the palm of one hand, and sprayed out a ball of bloody flames, making the fire even more powerful. The other hand lifted the spear again and raised the fat fire fish tribe. Then he fiddled with it with his 5 fingers and started to spin around. Although it can be roasted directly with the blood flame, it will lack a flavor. Therefore, when Zhang Tian was outside the base, he cut down the trees in Wotang's small world as burning materials. If there is no smoke from the barbecue, the flavor will naturally be poor. Zhang Tian exerted his strength on both arms and kept roasting them. Shui Ruyan next to her took a knife, cut off a small piece and put it into Zhang Tian's mouth, then cut another piece to taste for herself. Finally, let Zhang Tian figure out the taste first, and then let Shui Ruyan add it. In this way, Zhang Tian's own ability to adjust the taste will improve, and Shui Ruyan will play the role of the final word. These two people are really. Huang Xing, who was standing next to him, couldn't help but shake his head when he saw the two of them feeding each other a bite. Although the two of them were doing their business and adjusting the taste, why did they feel a little full just looking at it? Guo Qihong, on the other hand, kept feeling incomprehensible. Lao Yang's strength is really strong. If we burst out with blood, we might be able to lift it, but it's impossible to do it while turning and roasting so easily. Just as the two of them were sighing, Zhang Tian inserted the fire frog and fire fish tribe into the ground again. The burning blood flames gradually became smaller, and after reaching a specific temperature, they stopped changing. This keeps the food warm and tastes better. Although the food is piping hot, it warms the heart. Since they were eating together, Shui Ruyan stopped commenting and left the two people behind to discuss it in private. Click. Zhang Tian pulled off the frog legs, and then everyone had a roasted frog leg in their hands. They touched each other with a sense of ceremony, and then started eating. Huang Xing took one bite and immediately gave Zhang Tian a thumbs up. The outer layer has been roasted and is slightly hard, but the burnt aroma combined with the spices is absolutely beautiful. Salty and spicy, the tender frog meat inside has no excess fat. It is a pure white meat enjoyment. In addition, the fire frog's meat has a unique slightly numbing and fiery feeling, which is paired with the barbecue spices prepared by Zhang Tian. It's natural. It seems that this roasted fire frog should feel like this. If it weren't for Lao Zhang, I wouldn't have imagined that aliens could taste so delicious. Huang Xing was praising him as he ate fiercely. Guo Qihong said sincerely next to him, although the flavor of the ingredients themselves is important, Lao Yang's craftsmanship is the core key. Huang Xing was stunned for a moment, then quickly opened his mouth to make amends. Yes, Lao Zhang must be good at his craftsmanship, otherwise even foreigners will not be able to eat it. It is poisonous. At the same time, he also glanced at Guo Qihong next to him. The doubt in his eyes is very obvious. Do you want to roll this too? Just when the four of them were enjoying the delicious food in the yard. Underground in the pool is the palace of the Sanwan area. The elder of the Fire Frog tribe listened to the report of his subordinates in disbelief, while the elder of the Fire Fish tribe next to him sat down on the ground with his tail pouted. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.